Hello and welcome back to Crypto Convo, crypto conversations with leading people in technology and blockchain. And we certainly have somebody who's near the top of that pyramid right now, folks, Russell Starr. In fact, one of the reasons I know Russell, who is the CEO of DeFi Tech, that's DEFTF, on the OTC right now, trading and moving higher against a pretty dismal market. Russ, first of all, let me welcome you in, sir.
Thank you very much, John. Always a pleasure, and really appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, as far as crypto convos, we really couldn't have a better guest right now. And when I said top of the pyramid, folks, I mean, DeFi Tech was just nominated one of the top 3 global startups by London-based Financial News. I mean, that is incredible. It's well-deserved, Russ. And if you know any more about it than just the headlines that I saw, please share those with us.
Look, I mean, obviously it has to do with people's recognition of what we're doing, the team we've put together, and the value that we're creating, I think, for the general market, specifically because, and you and I have talked about this, like the entire transition of this industry, to a certain extent, it has to move to TradFi markets, right? And I get it. The purists hate that. The OGs want it to stay very, call it pure to the original mantra of crypto and decentralization. But if we want to get the rest of the world involved, and in my opinion, the rest of the world getting involved is fundamentally more important than maintaining sort of that pure white paper mentality, because arguably so many people can benefit from what this industry is doing globally to finance and how it will enrich and help all of our lives. So it's a huge kudo. It's a huge pat on our team's back. I never take any of this personally. It's always about the team, and upwards and onwards.
Well, that's very humble of you, and some of that humility, I'm sure, is just how you were raised, Russ. But and it is a fabulous team, but you deserve a lot of credit for being the guy at the helm.
Thank you.
And as we both know, that comes with lots of blessings and occasionally some hits. But right now, these hits are just like doubles, triples, and home runs. For the company. DeFi Technologies, folks, is the first and only publicly traded company built to give investors direct exposure to Web3 and decentralized finance. So if you're somebody that has sat around at home and watched various videos, has listened to it in podcasts or watched television, Bloomberg, CNN, CNBC, and so forth, and heard the term Web3 or DeFi and said, boy, I'd love to get in on that, but I just really don't know how to get started. This is a publicly traded company. They're based up in Toronto. DEFTF is the symbol here in the United States on the OTC. And Russ, tell people a little bit about, because that's a very recent uplist or listing onto that. Tell us about how that came about.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been around for about a year, a little over a year now, and the shell that we moved into, it actually had nothing to do with us. It was the shell that was originally viewed as an investment counselor, which I guess in the U.S. is a bad thing, and so we had to spend a lot of time, a lot of due diligence, and a lot of work with the regulators to walk them through what our business model is, because I think what happens is initially whenever you hear the word DeFi or crypto, everybody thinks alternative exchange, danger, they think about Mt. Gox or some theft, when really, like, honestly, it's funny, Diana and I were just talking about this, less than 0.2% of all transactions in crypto have any sort of theft relations or dubious relationship to anything offside, whereas with the US dollar and global currencies, it's more like 10, 15, 20%. So in reality, crypto is far safer. But no one could really get exposure to it, and the regulators didn't really know what to do with it because it's evolving so quickly. And so, we spent a lot of time working with them, and I still think, we're still endeavoring to get on the NASDAQ. I still think we get there because everything we do is regulated. Like, all of our products are cleared by prospectuses. All of our clients are KYC'd. But to your point, if you want to get exposure to Solana, which is now one of the fastest growing DeFi protocols in the world, or Terra Luna or Avalanche, and you are terrified of opening an account on Kraken, Frax, Coinbase, whatever, because it is complicated, and then buying a Bitcoin and turning a Bitcoin into a USDC or USDT, and then converting, even me, having spent my life in the capital markets, gets a little bit fearful of doing all of that. But with us, you can actually go to a traditional exchange, just go into Bloomberg, and you can actually buy Solana on a listed traditional exchange. And that's, in my opinion, one of our biggest value propositions. We've talked about our VC arm, we're talking about our governance arm, but our goal and our aspiration is to get the top 50 of these protocols that everybody needs to remember. This is growing 2 times faster than the internet. I harp on this all the time. People are always looking for that 10, 20, 50 bagger and wishing they could get it. Oh, I missed out on Amazon. How do we ever get a chance to do something like that? That's what this industry is. And for the fearful, we offer an amazing opportunity to get exposure to sort of a diversified Web 3.0 basket just by buying DEFTF or DeFi up in Canada on the NEO, and then hopefully at some point soon a NASDAQ listing.
Well, and as you said, simplified, yeah. Certainly anybody with a brokerage account in the United States or Canada can access this pretty easily, either on that NEO or on the new listing on the OTC, the DEFTF symbol. But so you get trusted access to crypto, decentralized finance, Web3, and all that. And DeFi tech folks, they really do this in 3 different verticals. And all 3 of them are pretty amazing. And you may hear me use that term a lot with DeFi tech, amazing. But listen to this, ETPs, exchange traded products. So about exchange traded funds. There's exchange traded products that are more or less globally traded. And I'd love it, Russ, if you'd explain to us a little bit about how people can get access to that. Just by owning DeFi tech, they get access to all 3 of these verticals, the first one being these exchange traded products.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, 1 year, basically over a year now, 1 year and about a quarter, we've been in existence. We've gone from 0 to about 275 million in AUM in these ETPs. And that's with a Bitcoin headwind. Like, let's be honest, basically since October last year, you've been looking at a negative to flat crypto market, and Bitcoin tends to really overwhelm and dominate the trading patterns of everything, even though we have equally great or greater exposure to Web 3.0. And so within DeFi, you have these ETPs. So we have Bitcoin 0, Ethereum 0. And just so everybody understands, those are zero variability, publicly traded, listed on Euronext, which is the 4th largest exchange in the world, the NGM, which is the Swedish exchange, as well as in Frankfurt. And zero fees, zero variability. You get exposure to Bitcoin perfectly. It's unlike Grayscale, where there's a discount or a premium. It actually tracks Bitcoin and its value perfectly for zero management fees. And I remember just a while ago, everybody was extolling Fidelity's 0.65 or 0.85. Ours is 0, so zero management fee. And then we have 6 other, call it Web 3.0 protocols: Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, Terra Luna, Uniswap, and Polkadot. And we're launching, obviously, our aspiration is to have the top 50 at some point, but hopefully another 20 by the end of the year. And all of those reside within DeFi, DEFTF on the QB, or DeFi on the NEO. And then the other two verticals you're talking about are our venture capital arm. And, you can't talk about that without bringing into context who our team is, and probably a large reason why we're also up for this award. So Johan Wattenstrom created XBT Provider, which is now CoinShares, literally a household name everywhere in the world for crypto. Olivier Roussy-Newton, another co-founder, he created Hive Blockchain, largest Ethereum miner in the world. Diana Biggs, former head of strategy for HSBC. Like these are
rock stars.
Yeah, the OGs of the OGs, if you can say that. It's not like the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi or Vitalik at Ethereum, but they're up there.
Yes.
Yeah, big time. And with those relationships, as well as the fact that we're extremely close to Anthony Pompliano, as you know, he's an advisor to the company, and Tika Tawari, we get exposure to all of these seed opportunities that no one else gets a chance to see. And even if you do see it, you may not even get into like the short list of being able to buy it. We do, and we've turned about $1 million into $10 million in a year with these investments, which is an incredibly staggering return. And then the other thing that we're trying to do, which makes common sense, is as our AUM grows, we're looking to participate more in the governance side of the business. So running nodes for the foundations to approve or disapprove transactions. But that's just, I call that the sprinkles on the icing. The icing is the VC, and the cake is obviously the ETPs, where we generate the bulk of our revenues and build our street credibility.
Yeah, but you guys also get a fee for each transaction on the network. Like you say, you described a 10x, which I love, a 10x return on some of the venture investments, but you guys also just grind out fees for these transactions on the network, Pith networks and Solana.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So this is such a new industry, and I always say to people, look, Solana might be the winner, but Matic might be the winner. Ethereum might, you don't really. It's so hard to pick a winner this early in the evolution of a brand new ecosystem. So actually having a company like ours, where you can get exposure across kind of everything, you may not be hitting that home run to Mars, but your home run is to the moon, right? And they're both legitimate massive returns. It's just that you're not taking the risk of being exposed to one single protocol that may or may not be the winner. So the ETPs, we get fees because we're allowed to stake everything. So we average about 6.5-7% on every dollar of AUM we have. And then in the governance side of the business, it's an incredible business. People have become multi-millionaires just running these nodes. But for every node, you get paid in the underlying token, which is obviously the yield. And you can do anywhere from $1 to $2 million in revenue per node per annum. So if you could imagine us, if we got to 20 products by the end of the year, and we're able to satisfy the conditions of every foundation to manage a node for every single one of those products, that's an additional 20 to 40 million US in revenue. And so, you look at where we sit. Our market cap's only 200 million US. We have a $50 million investment in SIBA Bank, which is one of the only 2 crypto private banks in the world, FINMA licensed. 275 million in AUM, 10 million about 16 million in privates now and other investments. And then you look at where we're trading, and then you look at what our upside is and our growth trajectory, and it just doesn't make sense. Which, of course, if the markets were efficient, none of us would be here, and you and I would be, I don't know what we'd be doing. Not this. But
or something.
Yeah. But it's look, we're getting recognized, we're upgrading our listings. All of these little data points or friction points that were causing us challenges with getting greater exposure in the US, you and Mark have taken notice. And as the rest of the community realizes just how powerful a business model this is. And, I say this to people, again, I can't tell you to buy. I don't even want to get into that position. with the NASDAQ or any of the US regulators. But what I can say is, look, if we get to $1 billion in AUM, we're going to do about 100 million in revenue and 90 million in profit just on our ETPs. And then you look at venture capital, and then you look at nodes, and it's just such a compelling and intriguing business model. And we're the only ones doing it publicly with a listed equity, really ostensibly anywhere in the world. And so, that's the value proposition.
Right. And DeFi Tech folks, by the way, they have this partnership with Bison Trails for secure node infrastructure. And some of the things that come out of that, that kind of secure infrastructure really promotes the growth of Web3. You get governance, transparency, ESG compliance, because now people can actually prove, they don't just say, they can actually prove through that. And the overall network security, those are all things, Russ, that I think any investor who's putting a substantial bet on the company would sleep pretty well at night knowing that you guys are providing that.
Yeah, not only that through Bison Trails, and this is a little more esoteric, but we just got our VQF approval from the Swiss regulatory authorities, which effectively is look, we're compliant in every fashion. We're the top 1% of the crop in terms of doing things the right way, in terms of regulators liking what we do. And I know that in the back of people's minds, like I even heard it today, I can't even remember what the article was, but there's a push in Europe to start, sort of messing around with the regulations related to what's going on with crypto. And one of their key premises or tenets is, well, there's so much dirty money, there's so much theft. Again, it's like 1/20th of what happens with the US dollar and fiat currencies. It's far more secure as an ecosystem. It's far safer. I can't even remember what the theft was recently, not the Axie, but there was one before. And the thieves couldn't do anything with the money. They had to return it all. Literally, they just locked it down. They couldn't move it anywhere. And it's, this stuff happens in this new world, but people need to appreciate how much safer and more transparent Web 3.0 is than anything else that we currently have in existence in terms of sort of monetary exchange.
Well, and you did mention SEBA Bank, but I know that you guys have a decent stake in one of the biggest US crypto-friendly banks. Maybe throw that one out just to tease folks a little bit.
No. It is SEBA. We don't have a US stake. But the companies I think you're referencing are like Silvergate or Anchorage.
Yeah, Silvergate. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I misread that.
No, it's and don't even worry about it. It's but what I tend to do is like, how do I even say this super respectfully? The US is such an incredible country. And it's so impressive in terms of entrepreneurship that I think people forget sometimes that the rest of the world outside of the US is incredibly large and big and profitable as well. And so SEBA Bank is the equivalent of sort of an Anchorage or a Silvergate. We own 6% of it. We have a board seat. But I just, it baffles me that no one can put two and two together and be like, okay, 275 in AUM, 50 million in SEBA. My math is that's 325, and we're trading at a $200 million market cap. Boom. It's I think because this is such a new business model, we're not a minor. It's taking a while for the investment community to catch up to us. But you know what? You guys know this company incredibly well. Maybe one of my favorite people in the industry, Steve Ehrlich and Voyager. Mm-hmm. This is like, we're going through exactly what Voyager went through. And that is just sort of this lack of an understanding. And then all of a sudden, boom, revenues, boom, Voyager's taking off to the moon. Couldn't have happened to a better person, a better team. But it took literally 2-3 years for people to recognize what Voyager was, is, and has become.
Yeah. Well, I mean, folks, if you wanted secure access, transparency, the ability to trade it, and for instance, some of the VC investments that DeFi Tech has made, if you were in there, folks, as an individual investor, if you could have got in, you're going to be locked up for X amount of time. Meanwhile, yep, these returns just keep building. And as some of those protocols or some of the technologies that you guys are in on that have 10x'd so far, yep, some of those could be 100. And if indeed that happens and the valuation's anywhere near just a 1-to-1, forget about, yep, trading at, less than half of the AUM plus the fees from the nodes and yep, the investment in SEBA and so forth. I mean, the stock just rockets. I'm not here to pump the stock. I'm just here to say I do have an investment in DeFi Tech, DEFTF, and I have done it because I believe in these guys, and I do think this is one of those disrupting technologies that is going to be copied, but I don't think that they're going to catch up to you guys anytime soon, Russ.
No, I would agree. First mover advantage is a big deal. But you know what? This industry, I always try to bring back simple analogies for people. There was a time when no one used internet. No one believed in email. Amazon was a joke. No one wanted to put a penny in it. I'm pretty sure if all of us could have, we would have taken every penny we owned and put it into Amazon at one point. That's where this industry is at, and it's a puppy dog right now. It's so early in its infancy in terms of what it could and will become, that it's hard for people to appreciate that. And this is going back to your competition. If even 5% of the world's assets move into this ecosystem, there could be another 100 competitors, and we're all going to be up 10 or 20 or 30 times. Like that's how incredibly early we all are in this ecosystem. And so, I welcome competition. I think we need more. I think we do. And again, I'm sure I'll be at one of these conferences and someone's going to come up to me and be like, I can't believe you're suggesting that people should go on to centralized exchanges to buy these protocols. But the answer is, look, no one's going to do it if we don't provide this opportunity. Like look, you can even take it back to the miners institutionally. Those institutions aren't allowed to buy on alternative exchanges unless there may be a hedge fund with a more open or liberal offering memorandum. But your traditional funds have to buy on traditional exchanges. The only way they're going to get exposure to this industry, and you saw it happen with the likes of Hive, Marathon. I mean, those stocks went parabolic when people were like, we have to get exposure to Bitcoin. How do we do it? You know what? We're going to do it through the miners. Well, how do you get exposure to Web 3.0? You do it through DeFi.
Excellent. I really appreciate your time. Russell Starr, CEO of DeFi Technologies. That symbol in the United States is DEFTF, trades on the NEO exchange up in Canada as well. Thank you, Russ. Have a great day.
You too, John. Thanks again, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.